Welcome back to another episode on the Gist Avenue with your one and only girl, C Breeze. How what it do, my Just gang? How we doing? How we doing? So welcome, guys. Today is episode 3, season 2, and I will be joined by a guest who also happens to be a good friend of mine, and we're going to be discussing something rather spicy and interesting, as you can see. The topic. I will advise that you grab maybe a glass of wine, maybe juice or water, and use it to relax as you listen in. As always, like, share, subscribe, and please do not hesitate to drop your comments. I want to know what you think. This is what the Gist Avenue is about. Please share your opinions and yeah, enjoy.
Is this High School Musical? Remember the one? Wow, this is about to be an outtake reels. It's about to be an outtake.
What was it? Taking 1 2. What up, Just gang? How are we doing? Welcome back to another episode on the Gist Avenue with your one and only girl, C Breeze. What it do? How are we? As you can see, I have a special face here. Okay, Nikki. Okay, Nikki. But yes, to be serious, welcome to the Gist Avenue with your one and only girl, C Breeze. How are you people doing? My Just gang. Today's episode 3 on season 2. And we're going to be talking about something rather interesting today.
That's why I'm dressed like a pastor, y'all.
Actually, that makes sense.
That's why I'm dressed like I just came from church.
It makes sense.
I did come from church. I did just come from church.
But yes, it's going to be a very interesting topic because I think like what we're going to be talking about, it can fall under like religion as well.
Definitely.
I think it has like different like dynamics to it. But yes, today we're going to be talking about celibacy. Abstinence. It's the English person. Abstinence?
Yeah.
Abstinence and virginity. Those three things. It all has to do with not having sex, right? Every time I start a topic, we first define what these terminologies are. I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with celibacy. But I don't know, I feel like people have different ideas of what celibacy is or abstinence or, I mean, we know what virginity is, but like abstinence and celibacy, like, do you think they're the same thing? Are they the same?
So they're not the same, and so you just call me the English person, so I don't want to embarrass myself.
Please don't embarrass yourself.
Wrong. But I believe that celibacy is just for a period of time. You've chosen not to have sex for a period of time.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be, for whatever reason.
Okay.
Abstinent is completely abstaining from sex, typically for a religious reason. So the two things are, yes, they both mean staying away from sex, but one is typically religious and one is just this season.
Okay.
I'm just not doing it.
So celibacy is more of like a decision that I make and it can change whenever I want it to change.
Yeah.
But abstinence is more like I'm
abstaining.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
Things like what all these like Catholic people do, like the Pope and all them, like
they have taken a vow to never do it ever. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But their vow is to never. Yeah. So. Ooh, you have to take a drink to that one.
That's right.
They're never.
Let me shut up.
Don't say what you about to say because I know what you about to say, and this is not. We're not doing that here.
We're not doing that today.
That's not just. That's actually like unlawful.
Yeah, it's unlawful.
It's unlawful.
Is it?
What you were gonna say about the kids?
But no, it's
about out here.
But
predators.
It's topic for another day. But yeah, so now I get it because I think a lot of people like mix it up. Like, oh, I'm abstinent. Like, you're abstinent, but my sister. Yeah, no, or my brother. And again, I think it's more common with women, abstinence and celibacy. Because how many men do you hear saying, I'm abstinent, I'm celibate right now? Like, not a lot of men, or maybe we just don't meet the right.
So I don't know where we want to jump into this topic, but even talking about women, I'm not. Should I talk about myself? Will I talk about myself? I don't know. Let me just jump in. So I've spoken to guys, male friends, male acquaintances.
Yeah.
And talk to them about how hard it is to date when you want to be abstinent, like when you want to wait until you're married.
I have the question here.
And what they've said is, are you really like abstinent, or are you just saying that because you want guys to think you're a good girl? So I'm actually bringing that up because you just brought up the point about it's more common for women to say it. And I'm not shading any women. I don't care. Like, what you do is your choice. But I do feel like it seems like it's saturated with so many women saying it, because some women do want to appear to be nice and angelic, and then there's women
virtuous and pious and stuff,
and then there's women that are serious about it, and then people don't take the women that are serious about it seriously
because they just think they're flaking
and they think that they're pretending.
I think another reason why maybe some guys would think that women are just probably pretending to be like virtuous or pretending to be like all, what do you call it, sinless in a way, is because a lot probably they've had experiences where a girl tells them like, oh, I'm abstinent, I'm not having sex, then
they meet a guy they like and have sex.
And
because
again,
that's what guys have told me is like, I know.
Apart from that too, maybe eventually they, mess with the girl and they're like, I thought you were abstinent, because they try so hard to get you out of your, the abstinence or your celibacy. So if they feel like, oh, it was that easy to just convince you to mess with you or whatever, I feel like they have that same idea with every other woman. Like, oh, girl, you're not abstinent. Like, let me just try. So maybe that's why they try so hard when a woman tells them, like, yo, I am celibate. I think the better word is celibate, because a lot of women are not actually abstinent.
Yeah, celibacy is.
I think celibacy is the better word. Like, I just don't want to have sex, but yeah, guys don't take it seriously.
It's a period of time. Like, that's kind of why, like, the celibacy thing is just a period of time. Like, if you watch Girlfriends. Yeah. Joan was my girl, even though she was crazy. And, yeah, Joan was crazy. But I don't remember what season it was, but at one point, she started dating guys and she started having a 3-month rule. That 3-month rule is an example
like the 90-day rule. Yeah, like, what do you call it? 90 days.
I'm abstaining from sex for 90 days. So that's celibacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like, okay, sometimes though, when people say they're celibate, they just say, I'm celibate when they meet people, but they don't give it like a timestamp. They just say, I'm celibate, I'm not having sex. And do you think for some reason, like, men tend to like just dip because of that? Like, they're not patient enough to be like, okay, is there a time frame? Or you're just saying you're celibate? Because a lot of women don't really disclose like how long they want to stay. They just say, "Oh, I'm celibate."
I don't feel.
I don't think they have to.
They don't have to. I feel like if a guy is pressed, like, "Oh, she's celibate." Well, first of all, as we just discussed in the beginning of this, people don't really know the difference in the definitions. So people using them interchangeably. People may think, "Oh, celibacy. This person is like not having sex with again."
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the thing. That's the terminologies.
And so with that, some guys may hear that and be like, "Okay, well, they're not having sex. Well, I don't need to ask. I'm leaving." That's guys that like only wants to sleep with you. I've talked to guys who have been like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna pressure you to do it. At least not now." Yeah. So I feel like they at least have some sort of respect, but there's still the whole "can I wear her down" thing.
Exactly. They still try their best. Yeah.
I just feel like if you actually want to abstain or be celibate, it's much easier to do with somebody who's also trying to do the same.
I think that's a very
that's
great
the
point.
only way it's going to like
I think
work.
It's a very great point, because a lot of times we have to be realistic. We live in a very sex driven generation. Like, there is sex everywhere. Instagram, everybody is selling sex.
There was sex on the Proud Family. I watched the reboot of the Proud Family. Why were Trudy and Oscar wearing each other's clothes? And then Trudy was like, "What do y'all?" I mean, Penny was like, "What were y'all just doing?" And then they like switched clothes.
Oh, Lord! You see, it's even on TV.
It's a children's show.
It's on children's shows. Everything. So sex is literally everywhere. So to make it seem like, oh, it's not something we're doing, that's false. Especially as Africans, I feel like we try to like cover it up so much. Like, oh, I'm not. You are. You're having sex. So I don't know the taboo about talking about it like openly. So my thing is, it's very unfair as a person to expect someone who is sexually active to just say, okay, because you're because you're celibate, that means I have to be on the same page as you. Do you feel like a lot of women are a little bit more like, how will I put it? I don't want to say require too much, or they're a little bit, they put pressure like, oh, if you're not going to be celibate with me, then, I mean, that's just it. I'm not like bending for you.
So
I think the better question is, do you think it's harder dating?
100%. It's very hard to date. It's hard to date
when you're celibate.
It's hard to date. It's extremely hard. I've had, like, honestly, like, I just...
What is the typical, like, encounter? Like, okay, when you tell them you're celibate or whatever, what do they...
So...
Typically, like, how do they respond?
Like I said, it's much easier to be with somebody who also wants to be celibate.
Yeah.
So, when you meet somebody that doesn't... Like, I just assume that every guy I meet wants to have sex. I just assume that. There's no...
Because a lot of them do.
There's...
No, a lot of them just want to have sex. I just think it's
I just
facts.
think to myself, I wonder how long it will take for them to, like, bring it up. And I'm typically disappointed. It's like 1 to 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Y'all talking about sex all day, every day. Or I'm that fine. But whatever it is, sex is being brought up very much quicker than I expect. And so in these conversations, I am just outright. And I've had friends tell me, I feel like because one of the friends has been like, you don't need to be telling them so soon that you don't want to have sex. It's going to chase them away. Well, then run. But there was one guy in particular last year that I knew this man was some young man, like, whatever. But I was like, let me, like, give it a chance. Talking to him, instantly starts bringing up sex, literally, like, day 3. And I'm just like, yeah, so I'm trying to wait until I'm married. And again, I also want to preface that, like, I'm not perfect. Obviously, there's temptation and things are hard. But, like, I try not to go into situations where I know, like, it could lead to anything that I don't want to do for my own specific religious reasons. Yeah. But, so he was talking to me, like, oh, you don't want to have sex? Why? And so, again, not to judge. This is just me. I was like, well, are you Christian? Do you go to church? And he was like, yeah, he does. But, like, sex is a part of getting to know people. Like, sex is a part of getting to know each other. Like, it's another part of, like, understanding who someone is. And then I'm looking at myself, and then I'm looking at my friend down there, and then I'm looking at myself, and then I'm looking again, and I'm just like, I didn't know my vagina had a personality. Like, this is already personality that you don't know. And, like, 2 days in, you're pressed to know the personality between my legs. Like, it's not making sense. So it's very hard. It's extremely hard because I'm just like, if that is the most important thing to getting to know somebody, well, then we're, like, not going to
Then what's the point?
Like, what's the point? You can sleep with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, you're bringing up sex 2-3 days in. Like, you don't even know, like, what I like to do. You probably don't remember where I work. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like they lack intentionality.
Really, there's no intention. Exactly. There's no intention. So it's definitely very hard. I assume every guy wants to talk about sex. I mean, wants to have sex. So I typically wait it out to see, like, how long they're going to bring it up. And if they're bringing it up too soon, I'm definitely like, it's a wrap. Yeah. Because he definitely is not going to be open to waiting if he can't even wait a week to bring it up in conversation. Like, it's not worth it.
I feel like with that, I understand where people come from when they're like, sex is actually, it's something that can bond you guys together.
Spiritually, soul ties.
Yeah, exactly. But the truth about
soul ties.
But the truth about it is, like, people undermine sexual compatibility. Like, what do you think about sexual compatibility? Because I understand, like, oh, my personality, my whatever, all that matters. But to say you want to, like, be celibate or you want to abstain from sex, and you do believe in the idea of compatibility, sexual compatibility, that I feel like a lot of people undermine because they want to, like, oh, sex is not important, but is it not? Is it not?
Compatibility is important. So I like men. I like men that look like men, that look
exactly,
that look fine, tall,
so
chocolate men. I like them.
I don't feel like they are out of place to want sex, but again, obviously it's too soon because there's more to me than sex. If it's just sex, you can get that anywhere, right?
You can get sex anywhere.
Yeah. So it's like a component of a relationship or a possibility of a relationship is wanting to make sure, like, sexually we're good, because some people they lack sexual compatibility. Some people are on a 90% and some people are on 30. How do they meet up?
So part of why I was saying I like men is because if I'm attracted to you, I know that whatever year when we walk down the aisle and we have sex, it's going to be amazing because I'm attracted to you. You know what I mean?
So a chemistry.
There has to be
a sexual chemistry.
There has to be chemistry there.
Outside
I'm not saying that, like, oh, I want to abstain or you should abstain and we just never talk about it, bring it up, and we're not attracted to each other. Like, I think that's the weird lane of
not doing anything sexual at all.
I'm not even talking about actually doing anything. I'm just saying that in general, I'm not even going to try to talk to or approach a man that I'm not looking at like, this man is attractive. You know what I mean? That I don't see some sort of something, some sort of...
Yeah, I get that.
So I want to, like, stay away from some relationships, especially I'm going to say Christian relationships where people are just like, well, it's just that we have like the same spirit, we're on the same wavelength spiritually, that's the only compatibility we need. It's not the only compatibility you need. Like, that's absolutely false.
Yeah.
You actually have to be attracted to your partner.
To your partner. But do you think physical attraction also means sexual, like, compatibility, though? Because a lot of times people can be physically attracted to one another and there's this chemistry, but sexually they just do not gel. And how would they know that if they do not actually have some type of sexual, encounter?
No,
because a lot of people, they complain like when they get married, or like, oh, it's the sex is just not and again, okay, let's think about it. If sex is not really that great important, or it's like the least thing, why do people cheat so freaking much?
You just put so many things there for me to try to unpack.
Why do they cheat so much? Because if sex is, why are you going outside when you're not getting it at home or whatever thing? Because a lot of times people like, oh, they're not really getting sex at home or whatever, or their wife is this, or or the husband is not as great anymore. So it's like, if it's really not that important, why go outside? Why is there so much cheating? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so definitely want to say a couple things. And I want to preface this by saying I don't want to sound over spiritual or wild.
This is our religious bit.
That's why, like I said, that's why I'm dressed like I just came from church. Because I just came from church, actually. Yeah, just came from church.
But it's good to hear from a more spiritual, religious, perspective.
So one, how do you know just because you're like physically attracted to somebody that it's going to work? You're right. We don't know per se. But the best analogy that I can think of to give is like, all the parts are there. If I'm attracted to somebody, like, oh, his body look nice, he's wearing gray sweatpants and you can see there's an outline there. The man is handsome.
Not the gray sweatpants.
I told you I'm not perfect.
Not the gray
he smiles and like he has that, you know what I mean? I'm attracted to him, whatever.
Yeah.
All the things are there. We can make it work when the time is necessary. We can talk. We can have conversations.
And
I
compromise.
didn't like this. I liked this. Blah, 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 blah. After we're married and we're doing it. Yes. It's kind of like a car. Like, you have a car. The car may have parts, like, that break down, whatever, but you can take it to the mechanic and fix it. All the parts are there. You can fix it up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel like with, like, the sexual relationship thing is, yes, you're not having sex before marriage, but all the parts are there. The attraction is there. The spiritual compatibility is there. You guys can make it work when the time comes to make it work.
And if there's that willingness to actually want to be with the person, and you do care about the person outside of sex, I guess, you would want to please one another, because I feel like that's what sex is about.
Not if DJ Khaled don't give his wife head.
Does she give him head?
You didn't hear that?
But he collects it. But he collects.
I don't know what's happening in their household. All I know is on social media, DJ Khaled said he don't give his wife head.
That is so. My thing about it, I feel like there comes to a point in your life at a certain age where sex is not just about pleasing yourself; it's about actually pleasing the other person, right? So I would not understand how your intention is not to make your partner happy, because I feel like I don't want to talk about men so much, but the thing is, men, I feel like in their younger ages, they just want to. They're just looking for instant gratification. I don't think there's the idea of like actually pleasing their woman or whatever the case may be. But yeah, going back to it, I feel like there should be some level of like chemistry. There should be a level of like, because some people are so conservative. Like, they don't even want to talk about this thing at all. Like, you're together. Oh, I'm celibate. I'm not doing anything. So they run from any type of physical touch. But how are you supposed to know your partner like a little bit more in-depthly if you guys are not actually having those conversations? I'm not saying you should go full throttle and just like do it, but there should be some level of like, I don't know.
So, I mean, I know people that have courted, not this talking thing that y'all be doing where you text for 2 weeks while you're talking to other girls, like actually courting, and they've never even kissed. Like, I feel like, is it the drink or is it the kiss?
No, it's the kiss. Like, they've not kissed.
And they haven't kissed. And I'm not saying that to belittle anybody. I think that's a great choice. But I say it because that's like an agreement that the two of them have with each other. At the end of the day, like, it's only going to work if you guys are on the same page.
Yeah.
Like, it's only going to work if you guys are on the same page. So, I mean, I get I'm celibate and you, the guy or the girl, whoever in the relationship, is like not, but they're trying to wait it out for that person. They don't want to be touched because they don't want to, like, you know, fall or break whatever time frame they've put on the celibacy. But you wouldn't have to be worrying about all of that if you were with somebody that just wanted to be celibate.
Exactly.
With you.
I feel like there has to be, you guys have to be on the same alignment, because it's so hard. As we said, it's really hard in this generation to just tell someone, oh, I'm celibate. I think I was talking to someone yesterday, and I was just like a guy, and I said, could you be with someone who says they're celibate, who is abstaining from sex, or they don't want to have sex or whatever? He was like, I mean, yeah, I can do it. I mean, if she's a virgin. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, is there a higher weight that a virgin carries than someone that's telling you, like, I do not want to have sex? Because the thing about it is, like,
they don't want the responsibility of taking a girl's virginity away. But a lot of guys say that.
I feel like the thing is, he got it confused in the sense that he felt like for a woman to say she's a virgin, that means she, you know, she tried so hard, she's keeping, like, you know, she put in a lot of effort. I'm like, but a woman who's probably been celibate or for maybe years or a couple months or whatever, she has the same idea of, like,
it's even harder.
It's even harder.
She knows what sex feels like.
Exactly. So I feel like, but he pretty much said that, oh, I would not take the person who just says she's celibate seriously. Like, I mean, you've had sex. I'm like, I don't understand why. How can you really confirm that the girl that says she's a virgin is a virgin?
Well, we don't have penises. I feel like
no. I'm just saying, because I'm like, if she says she wants to wait till marriage, how can you really confirm that she is a virgin? Because there are a lot of people that claim that they are, but they're not. I have a story. Back in college. I'm sorry. When I was in college, there's this one girl. I'm sorry, claiming virginity. But word on the street was that. And the thing about it is, like, it was this Christian whatever. It's just like, why are you misleading people? Like, having sex or having, like, constant or a active sexual life does not make you a bad person. It doesn't devalue you or anything. It's just something that happens. I feel like when it comes to celibacy, I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been and I've not. And I don't think it devalued me or it changes who I am. The only reason why I felt like I needed to make those type of changes was because I wanted to see how it will be, or if there will be, like, a different outcome if I just said, you know what, no, I'm just going to, like, keep it until I feel as though someone is worth it. But even in the period of keeping, if you're not going to have sense, you're not going to have sense. A man who's not going to have sense is not going to have sense. A person who's not going to be committed to you will not be committed to you. A person who's not going to take you seriously won't take you seriously, regardless if you are giving it or you're not giving it. So that's why I respect people for whatever decision they make. If you choose to be abstinent, you choose to be celibate, do it because it's something you want to do. And if you want to change or you want to break it because it's something you want to do, not because you are pressured into doing it, not because other people are doing it, or not because you just feel like, oh, it's not working anyway. I think it's kind of like a personal decision, like being celibate or not being celibate, or just living your best life. However you want to do it, make sure it's something that's benefiting you as a person. And if the people that are coming are not on the same page, it's harder. But I also don't feel like you can blame them, because if it's something they're used to it. You don't think so?
I agree with everything you said in a worldly stance. But I mean, so I have to.
But do you
like
think
an auntie?
No. But do you think all the religious, not religious, but people who are more religious or whatever, and they say they're celibate or whatever, or they are abstinent, do you think a lot of them really are, or they're just trying to pull up a front? We really can't know, but
I don't think we can really know. But what I do think is that, just like you just said, if you choose to be celibate in a relationship, like, do it for your choice. Don't do it because you're like, oh, more men will like me. Because I'm here to tell you that's not true. Guys don't care.
They don't.
Hoes are getting married. I mean, I don't
every day.
So
there's a wedding every Saturday.
Even Sundays now, you know, people get
and
married
it's crazy because
too.
they really think, because that's why I said that this does not devalue who you are. You might be thinking this person is loose, she's a hoe, but she might be a genuinely good person.
Yeah. I'm not using that. I'm not
I understand. So I'm just like, it does not matter. Like someone who would want you regardless of that's your celibacy true. Or if you're celibate or you're not celibate. Like, it doesn't really determine anything.
That's exactly that's.
But
exactly
I do believe that people, as you like the Christian world, it's like unequally yoked.
So
like don't be unequally yoked with whatever, because it's easier for you to be with somebody that you guys share the same values, the same like purpose. Because if I'm coming into a relationship or you're getting to know someone and they're like, oh, you know what, I'm actually like abstaining from sex right now, I'm waiting till marriage, and you're on the same page, like, oh really, like that's good, it makes your journey easier. But when you are doing what you're doing and one person's telling you it's hard, it's really hard.
So to that point again, so in the relationship, in I guess the worldly sense, if you're going to be celibate, you're doing it completely for yourself, whatever that reason is. Don't do it because you think it's going to make men like you more, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Like, it's your own decision. I guess in the Christian world, what I would say is that you said some people may be faking, blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, whatever you choose to do as far as sin in general, you're not doing it because you're like, hey, I don't want God to be upset, blah, 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 blah. Like, hey, I'm ashamed. Like, the point of not sinning is because that guilt that you feel pulls you away from God. So if you've decided that you want to be celibate or abstain, you want to abstain till you're married, it's not because it's like, oh, God is going to bring me a husband. Oh, God is going to answer my prayers. It's because you do not want that sin, whatever that sin may be, to draw you away from God. So if people are lying about it, their relationship with God probably is not where it needs to be. It's not really, you know what I mean? So I would hope that people that say that they are, but if they're not, like, that's now it's going into questions of, well, are you really Christian? Or not even, are you really Christian? Have you backslided?
Yes.
That type of thing. So I definitely think that in general, whether it's Christianity, whether it's the world, you're doing the decision for yourself. You're doing it because, like, it's harming you. Again, the way sin is harming you and drawing you away from God, that is the reason that you're deciding to be celibate. Not because of any other extenuating circumstances. Not because my parents said, hey, I have to be a virgin. Not because the Bible says, hey, I have to be a virgin.
It's that
because
personal.
That sin is moving you from God. It's very personal. Same thing in the world. That whatever reason it is that you've stopped having sex, it's a personal reason. So I think that on either end of the spectrum, it has to be personal. Like, society influences shouldn't influence what you do or don't do.
I feel like when it comes to like the Christian, aspect of things, or the religious aspect of things, it's generally, expected that, you keep yourself, whole, do not give yourself out until you're married and things like that. And if you also don't have a personal conviction as to why you don't want to do certain things, because there are so many benefits to actually just keeping yourself.
There are.
STDs are outside. There are all sorts of like soul attachments outside. A lot of times, the things that people carry, when you're just having sex with people, you can't carry their problems, you can't carry their frustrations and things like that. So there's so many other benefits as to keeping yourself, outside of outside of a religious like rite or a religious like practice, right? So I feel like with Christianity or any type of religious background, if you're abstaining from sex, okay, yes, because that's what God wants, but you should also want it as well. That's what I'm saying. Because it will make it more solid. It will make it like a solid thing. Like, yes, I'm doing it for God, but again, I'm doing it for myself. But it's very interesting because when I was talking about the whole idea of like sexual compatibility or how important sex is in a relationship, I mean, we're obviously not married, so we don't really know what it is like in a marriage or whatever. But in a wait, did you? Wow.
I'm not. I just want to just in case anyone fine is following you. I wanted them to know I'm not married.
Yeah, single. But yeah,
I do want to circle back to something you said earlier though about people having sex all the time, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Another thing, and I don't know if I should necessarily call this. You know what? Let me just talk. So, what's your favorite food? What you like to eat?
My favorite food.
Girl, what's your favorite food?
I eat a lot of stuff. I don't think I have anything favorite, but okay, let's just say akara. I love akara.
Oh wow, we just had akara. That's why that's funny. But if you ate akara every day, like, wouldn't you get sick of it?
Absolutely.
You get sick of it. Eating it every day.
Absolutely.
But when you eat it on special occasions, like, or every once in a while,
yeah,
you'll appreciate it more,
yeah,
right?
You do.
sex is like that. Like, sex can become devalued the more that you're having it. So people can even become what's the word, where you're not fazed by things. It's escaping me right now, but where like things don't even faze them. That's why
jaded?
Like, not jaded, but crap, I can't remember. But that's why seeing sex on TV, like, you know, and so much doesn't faze people, because it's so saturated that it's just kind of like, oh, this is whatever.
Yeah.
Like, or people that watch like porn all the time. Like people who watch porn all the time, then they have sex. Yes, they come desensitized. Thank you. That's the word, desensitized. People that watch porn all the time, then have sex, and it
doesn't feel. They don't feel like, yeah.
The excitement is down
because they have like this crazy
expectations. So when it comes to having sex all the time, different people, people can do that because it seems like nothing. Oh, I do it all the time. It's not a big deal. I do it all the time. It's not a big deal. I go to the club. I meet a girl. I sleep with her. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Or sleep with him. So people become desensitized to it. That's similar to eating that akar all the time. So if you're waiting until marriage, or at least if you're celibate or waiting, so you feel like it's more appreciated. Time, it's more appreciated. Having it all the time, it makes people desensitized. It makes people think it's not a big deal. And whether you're religious or not, having sex is a big deal. Like Zuba just named all the STDs you could get, especially some of y'all DMP people that I hear that don't be using what you're supposed to be using when you're doing it. All of that is out there. Kids are out there. Like, one big thing for me, I personally want to be married when I have children. Like, it becomes very sticky. Yeah. It becomes very sticky, especially
there's so many reasons.
If you get married to somebody, then you guys have kids, and then the other, like,
there's so many reasons to keep
I honestly feel like our generation does a better job, though I will say, of having children and integrating them into the family than our parents' generation. Like, I do know quite a few people in our generation that have siblings that they don't know, they don't talk to. I think our generation does a better job, but it could be avoided. Like, it really could be.
It could be avoided.
I mean, don't get me wrong, children are definitely blessings. I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't have children.
But yeah, that's definitely another...
That's a completely different conversation than pro-life, pro-choice. We're not doing that here.
Yeah.
Children are definitely blessings. What I'm saying, though, is that there are risks attached to having sex.
Yeah, there
are risks. And again, to go the spiritual route, there's something tied to every sin. There's some sort of risk. There's some sort of, I wouldn't say punishment, but if you're reading the Old Testament with the Israelites, in order for them to cleanse themselves, the kinds of things they had to do when they were sinning was mad. Like, people would be, like, kicked out of, like, the camp. They'd have to go sacrifice goats and all sorts of animals and, like, bring the blood to God. Like, there's stuff that's attached to sins. You know what I mean? So when the Bible talks about how Christ died for our sins, that is, like, the ultimate sacrifice. So we no longer have to do all of that other stuff. However, those types of things that the Israelites had to do, like, they manifest in other ways, which we just talked about with the children and that.
There's a lot of things
manifest in other ways.
Yeah, I feel like sex sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, like, you can literally, like, what's that word? When someone's, like, energy, you can easily, like,
the soul ties.
Yeah, you can easily soak up other people's energies. You can soak up other people's, like, you know, problems and whatever. Like, I feel like you just have to be a little bit. I'm all for sexual liberation. Do what you have to do. Have sex if you want to have sex. Stay abstinent. Stay celibate if you want to stay celibate. Everything is just, you know, down to your personal choice. But whatever you do, you have to do it with some level of, like, consciousness and sense, right? For me, I don't want to go too deep in it, but the thing is, I felt like at some point, as you said, you get desensitized to certain things. It's like, it's just whatever. And you get to a point whereby you're just like, more. I want more. You want more than just chilling and whatever, vibing or whatever. You actually want something that would go, or that would be beyond, like, just that moment. You want something beyond that moment, like, you know, the instant gratification or whatever the case may be. So, but me, I realized that not keeping it, like, it wasn't really giving me the results that I wanted, right? However, when I wasn't, I felt good. When I felt good too, but just, like, when I was just like, hey, I don't owe anybody anything. I can, and again, I feel like it's another level of discipline. Like, you're able to like, hold yourself accountable and just to get your mind right. Like, you're not dealing with unnecessary drama. Because the more you, whatever, with people, especially people that you don't have any type of commitment to or whatever, it causes voila. You start having unnecessary, what do you call it? What's that word? Headache. You know what I'm trying to say? Headache. Like now they'll be telling you, we're not even together. Yeah, what do you mean we're not together?
Man, that is my least favorite thing that guys say when you try to call them out or something. They be
like we're not. What do you mean? But you went out here doing what you.
I'm not saying they were anything, but like it's very annoying.
It is.
But let me actually even add something.
You just save yourself from all sorts of drama when you do. Drama. So that is those are the advantages of being celibate and stuff like that.
But let me even add something to what you said about holding yourself accountable. So back kind of to the being desensitized.
Yeah.
You asked something a bit ago about how like people getting married. If a guy wants to stay, he'll stay. Why do people cheat so much? Da 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 da. If you've been sleeping with people before you get married, you sleeping with people, whatever, instant gratification. You get married. What's the difference? What is the difference in mindset? Like you're used to being able to have sex when you want to. Like, what is now the difference when you get married? That you've told this person you're going to marry them. That, I don't want to say spirit. Again, I don't want to be too over spiritual. But that thing inside of you that like, that uncontrollable urge that you had to satiate. Yeah. That doesn't go away because you get married. That's not going to go away. Just like if you meet me and I can't cook, the day we get married, I that doesn't mean I can cook the next day.
Exactly.
The next day, I'm not making you 5-star meals. So
gourmet,
that's not happening. So if you're meeting somebody that's in the streets, you're going to marry them, and the streets will be across from your house. The streets are still there. So that's another thing about like, besides becoming desensitized, it's going to be very hard to change something that you're accustomed to doing. Getting married and saying I love you and I do. And this is another conversation, another aside.
Another day.
I personally do not believe that if you continuously cheat on someone, you love them. Like, that's BS to me. I hate hearing that. Like, oh, this is the main one. I love her. Or he always comes back to me. I'm the main. That's
bullshit.
That's rubbish you guys are telling each other. Or that you guys are telling yourselves. You cannot consistently cheat on somebody and love them.
Consistently.
And you too, you think they love you. That's not it.
Consistently.
But the point is, like, yeah, maybe once or twice, and I hate to say this, I hope my future husband not watching. Maybe once or twice, okay, cool, accident. We get, I don't know.
It's not an accident. It was a stupid decision.
Stupid decision, yes. But after like 2 times, you're actually tripping. But the point again goes to, it's very hard to break something that you've been doing. So again, that's another thing to consider when you're like, I want to be in the street sleeping with people. It's something that is going to be in you when you get married too. It's not going to go away. And you're deceiving yourself.
And I feel like with that, right? Because as we said, not everybody is spiritual. Not everybody is religious. We're all different people. Everyone is kind of like, how will I put it? Unique in their own little ways, right? Compatibility. Coming back to compatibility, you might think like, oh, they're just in the streets, like just sleeping around, whatever. They might just have a very freaking high libido.
So they're not sleeping around.
No, I'm not saying like, regardless, they might be in a relationship with somebody and they constantly have sex, like
with that same person,
with the same person or whatever, or they're messing with other people. I'm just saying, like,
why don't you marry her?
Maybe because there's more to marrying someone than just like, you know.
And there is, but he doesn't want to marry her.
But my thing, what I'm trying to say is like, it's good to just be on the same level with whoever you're with. When I mentioned earlier that there's some people that have like really like they can be at a 90% when it comes to like their sexual, you know, what was that word? Prowess. Yeah. You see the English person. Yeah, when it comes to their sexual prowess, right? And some other people, they're not. It's not their thing. If they do it, they don't. So my thing is, how are they able to come to like an actual like common ground? Because as we said, like, oh, sex is not the most important thing. We understand that, but a lot of times, sex is something people do constantly in the relationship, in the marriage. In fact, they leave the comfort of their home to go and do it with somebody else. You know what I'm trying to say?
Or they bring the girls to the house.
Or they scandal. So you see what I'm saying? I feel like it's really good to be on the same page as the person that you're with. And there should be a level of compromise. Sacrificing would be like someone who does not really want to do anything at all. And here you are constantly, you want it. Because there's what's the name of that thing? Love languages. Some people, whatever is...
sex is not a love language.
Physical... what do you mean?
I'm touching you right now. You don't have to have sex to touch somebody.
But that's not. I feel like physical touch can boil down to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Men, if you speak to a lot of men, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are sexually inclined. They say it all the time, like, men, we have more whatever than whatever. That's one reason why they say they be cheating. But my thing is, be with somebody. God help us. Please. Be with somebody that is on the same level as you. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like trying to expect someone to, like, oh, I don't really like you. You should understand. My sister, my brother, they won't understand. If they want it, they want it.
I'm confused how these people are even getting to this point of dating. Like, it's confusing.
Exactly.
Because literally, like, if I meet a guy and he's not with it, like, we're done talking. We don't,
you see the problem.
Stage of dating.
Pretty much, I don't want to say it's contradicting, but literally we just said, like, having, like, this, like, sexual conversation so early on or whatever, it's, you know, it could be a problem. So you might not know until you're actually really in love or you really like this person. So you're just like, okay, maybe it would change. Maybe.
Oh, I don't love anybody that's trying to talk me out of something that I said I wanted to do. It's not possible. So I don't even know how these people are getting to the stage of dating. Like, I think that's very. You said something earlier.
I think sometimes people just want to. Yeah, people just want to maybe give it a try. Okay, let me ask a question. Let me ask one question. Do you feel as though, like, you have missed out on a potential good person because of your stance on being celibate?
I don't think I have. Because, like...
But you think it's possible that someone misses out on a good person just because they're like, oh, I don't want to have sex, I don't want to do this, and this person is actually a good person, this person, like, has the potential to be a partner, but you guys are just not on the same page when it comes to your sexual, you know... Oh, Lord.
No, I still don't think so. Dating is hard. I am the poster child for dating is hard. All of my friends will tell you I talk about how dating is hard, especially with all the other extra criteria or whatever you may, you know, we may call it that we have. Like, especially as we get older, like, criteria increases, the kinds of things we want from a man changes. I don't think that, even so, I don't think I've missed out on the person that I'm supposed to be with. There's billions of people on this earth. I feel like, again, to get back into religion, there's perfect will, there's permissive will. I think there's a bunch of people that are on God's green earth that it's permissive for me to be with, that it can work out. Yeah. But then there's also there's the perfect person for me. And the perfect person for me, I didn't miss them because I don't want to have sex. Yeah. I don't believe that. I believe that there are guys that it could have worked with, permissive, that I may have missed out on, but perfect has not been missed.
Okay, so, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe not perfect, because I don't think anyone is perfect. I just feel like, for example, for me, like, at the point where our parents are going to watch this.
My parents not watching this.
I'm not going to tell my mom about this episode.
My parents not watching this.
I'm not going to tell her about this episode. But what I'm trying to say, at a point whereby I was celibate, right? I felt like there were some good people that I probably, missed out on. Not that they were perfect, but it could have gone somewhere. But my thing is, at the end of the day, it was something I wanted for myself. Yes. So I don't regret it, but I'm just saying, like, this was actually a genuine, like, good dude. But eventually, like, if sex is something that they require, if sex is something they want, then why not? I remember one dude telling me, he was like, oh, do you think you're more than that all you have to offer is sex? Like, why is this such a whatever? I'm like, because that's what I want to do. Like, why are you trying to, like, convince me or trying to make me feel whatever? Like, what are you doing? That is exactly what he was like. I mean, there's so much. I'm pretty sure you have way more qualities that make you who you are. I'm like, I do know that. I know that. But I'm telling you right now that that's not what I want to do. And if you also want to just have sex, then we're not on the same page. But God bless you. You're a good guy, but it's just not going to work out. So let's keep it pushing.
I do want to say, well, first I want to say, if a guy really likes you, he's going to do everything he can not to lose you. He's not going to let you leave. I say that I'm celibate. Okay, well, in 3 months I'm trying to marry this girl. You know what I mean? Like, if a guy wants
you really feel like it's that easy, though?
I don't think it's that easy.
One thing I want to say, though, with what you just said, we are going in. It's about to be 15 minutes. But one thing I want to say real quick is the fact that we live in a very, what do you call it? What's that word? Social media is very high right now. There's social media, there's dating apps, there's everything. People have options. Oh, you don't want to have sex? they're moving on to the next girl.
But there are other people the other guys, speaking from our perspective as women, that are not having sex as well. So I really, honestly do believe.
How many are there?
I don't know, but they're out there, and somebody has to be for me because I'm waiting for him.
So you know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's just so many options now. So if a woman is saying like I don't really, they're not even waiting. Like, you don't, okay, let me go to Vanessa, let me go to Shakira, let me go to somebody else that is willing to do that.
Here's the thing, that whole notion does not build happiness. I want happiness.
I understand that, but it's sad, but that's the reality.
No, I'm saying it is the reality, but if we think about our generation, and I'm a man, you know, I don't have a deep man voice to use for this demonstration, but say I'm a man, and oh, you don't want to have sex? Well, I'm gonna sleep with this person. Well, I'm gonna sleep with this person. Well, I'm gonna sleep with this person. Like, you're never ever going to be satisfied, happy. You're always going to be doing this until. And
you're gonna looking for exactly.
You're never going to be satisfied. You're not going to be happy. Me, I want to be happy. So even though it is painful or it's hard or whatever, I'm willing to wait for the person who wants to be with me because a little bit of unhappiness now is better than unhappiness in the future. So that is kind of the notion that I'm going with. Yeah. Something else that you mentioned that I did want to say to kind of blanket this whole conversation. Yeah. We've talked a lot about sex, especially religiously speaking. But I do want to say that not having sex does not make you a good person. Because Dupa was definitely hitting heavy on I've met lots of good people. Having sex does not make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. So it doesn't determine who you are. It doesn't determine your personality. Yeah. I was reading something that a Christian blogger posted, and she said something along the lines of, and I can't remember verbatim, but she said Christians, especially in our age and generation, are so pressed about don't have sex. However, they're not focused. Not having sex does not permit you to do other sins, such as oh, I'm lying, I'm stealing, I'm cheating, I'm doing this, but I'm not having sex, so I'm a good Christian. That's not true. They're emphasizing on one particular aspect. So I do definitely want to point out that there's a hyper sensitive nature when it comes to sex. Sex is not the only sin. Exactly. You know what I mean? So again, as I mentioned before, things that are pulling us away from God, we don't want those things to be in our life in general. Sex just happens to be one of those components. So I do want to say that if you are having sex, it doesn't make you a bad person. If you're not, it doesn't mean that, oh, you're a saint, you're a good person. Exactly. But yeah, I guess that's a really good way to end today's episode. But yeah, let me just say, I feel like, as I said, we be talking and everything. Whatever decision you choose to make when it comes to your sexual life, your sexual activities or whatever, make sure you're doing something that benefits you or that makes you happy. Do it with sense though, you know? Use your sense. Don't let anyone kind of what's that word? What's the word? Dissuade you don't be weak. Exactly. Don't let other people determine what you should do, what you shouldn't do, or whatever makes you happy in a particular moment. Do it. It's your life at the end of the day. So you want to be celibate? Go ahead and do that. You don't want to be? Go ahead and do that. Be happy, but do everything with sense. They say that what's that? There's this thing in the Bible. I don't think it's in the Bible actually. I was about to say, I hope I know it. Everything you do, do it with moderation. Yeah, moderation is moderation. Use your sense. Use your mandula oblongata. And yes, that rounds up today's episode. I hope we did not blab too much or go all around the circle. But I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. Drop your comments. I want to understand. I'm pointing to the arrows where the comments are. But yes, make sure you leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Is celibacy really what's the word? Is it possible in this generation that is so sexually driven? And yes, that concludes today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. And I want to know what you guys think about it. I know the video cut off pretty abruptly. But yes, what do you guys think? Abstinence, celibacy, virginity in such a sexually driven generation. How do we do it? So yes, drop your comments, like, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you again next week on the Gist Avenue. Bye.